Chapter 16. Mary and Colin quarreled. Mary did not go back to the house until the evening. Then she wanted to tell Colin about Dickon and his animals. But when she saw Martha, she knew that something was not right. Colin is very angry because you didn't go to see him, Martha told her. Mary began to feel cross. The secret garden and Dickon were the two most important things in her life. Colin was fun sometimes, but he was not as important as the garden or Dickon. She went to see him, however. He was in bed this time. "Why didn't you come?" he asked her. He spoke like the Indian prince. "Because I was working in the gardens with Dickon," she answered. Colin looked cross. "I won't let that boy come here again," he said angrily. This made Mary very cross. "If you send Dickon away, I'll never come into this room again," she shouted. "You'll have to come if I want you to," cried Colin. "I won't," she answered. "Yes, you will," shouted Colin. "No, I won't," Mary shouted. And they shouted at each other for some time. They said some very unkind things. At last, Colin shouted, "Get out of this room." And Mary answered, "I'm going, and I won't come back. I wanted to tell you about Dickon and his animals, but I won't now." She ran out of the room. She felt very angry, but also rather sad. Now she would never tell Colin her great secret. When she got back to her room, she found some books on the table. They were presents from Mr. Craven. There were some pictures, books, and 2 books about gardening. "How kind he is," she thought. And then she began to think about Colin. She began to feel a little bit sorry for him. Poor Colin, she thought. Perhaps he was been thinking about his hunchback all afternoon. Perhaps I will go and see him tomorrow. She went to bed early because she was tired, but she woke up suddenly during the night. There was a great noise. People were running along the passages, and far away someone was crying. "It's Colin," she thought. "I don't know what to do, but sometime must stop him." Suddenly Martha came into her room. "Oh, Mary," she cried, "please stop him. He'll hurt himself. Please stop him. He likes you." So Mary went to Colin's room. When she saw him, she shouted, "Stop it, stop it, stop it. If you cry again, I'll cry too. And I can make more noise than you can. I'll frighten you." Colin was so surprised that he almost stopped crying. No one had ever shouted at him before. "I can't stop," he cried. "I can't." "Yes, you can," Mary answered. "I'm going to be a hunchback," he cried. "I know it. I feel my back, and it has changed." "No, it hasn't." "Don't be foolish," Mary said. "Let me see." She looked at his back. It was very thin and weak, but it was quite straight, and she told him so. "Of course, you are not going to be a hunchback," she said loudly. "Your back is as good as mine." Colin smiled vaguely. He believed that Mary was telling the truth. "Do you think that I will live?" he asked her. "Of course you'll live," she said. "But you'll have to go outside in the fresh air a great deal." "I'll come with you," he said quietly. "No," Mary said. "You must go to sleep." "Shall I sing to you again?" "Will you tell me about the secret garden instead?" he asked her. "Have you found the key?" "Yes, I think so," answered Mary. "I'll tell you about it tomorrow. Now go to sleep." She held his hand and sang very softly. He went to sleep very quickly. Chapter 17. Mary tells Colin the secret. The next morning, Mary slept late because she was very tired. When Martha came in, she said, "Colin wants you to go to him as soon as you can. He seems to like you very much. I don't know why, because you were very angry with him last night." And she laughed. He said, "Please ask Mary to come. I don't think he has ever said please to anyone in life before." Mary wanted very much to go to the secret garden, but she went to see Colin first. I'm glad you came, Colin said. I feel very tired this morning. My whole body hurts. What are we going to do today? Well, said Mary slowly. First, I'm going to see Dickon, but I'll come back soon, she added quickly, because Colin looked so sad. And when I come back, I'll tell you something very important. It's about the secret garden. Oh, how wonderful, cried Colin. Please come back quickly. Mary went out into the garden, and Dickon was there before her again. Every day, now there were more things alive in the garden. It was like magic. Mary and Dickon sat down, and she told him what had happened during the night. Then she told him that Colin wanted to see him and his animals. Dickon thought that this was a good plan, and he said he would come the next day. The garden was so beautiful that Mary didn't want to go back to Colin, but she did. And Colin looked very pleased to see her again. She sat down, and they talked about Dickon and his animals. Do they really understand what Dickon says? Asked Colin. Does he really know what they say to him? He says he does, Mary answered. He says that anyone can understand an animal, although they must be one of the animal's friends. I wish I had friends, said Colin sadly, but I don't like people, and people don't like me. Don't you like me? Mary asked him. Yes, he said, and he sounded surprised. Ben Butterstuff once told me that I was like him, Mary said. He said, we don't look nice and friendly, and I don't think that we are. Perhaps you are the same. But she stopped to think. I think that I'm nicer now that I know the Robin and Dickon, Mary said Colin quietly. I'm sorry that I said those unkind things about Dickon yesterday. I hated him because you liked him, but I made a mistake. I don't want to see him very much. I'm glad that you said that, Mary answered, because she stopped. Can you keep a secret? Can you really keep a secret? Yes, Colin cried. Well, said Mary, Dickon will come to see you tomorrow, and he'll bring his animals with him. Colin's eyes grew bigger and bigger. But that isn't everything, she said. Listen, this is better. There is a door to the secret garden, and I have found the key. Colin could not believe it. Well, I see it, he cried. Of course you see it, Mary answered. And then she told him what the garden was really like. Later that day, Dr. Craven came to see Colin. Mrs. Medlock had told him what had happened during the night, so he was very surprised that Colin was not in bed. I'm sorry that you were ill last night, Colin, he said. I'm very much better now, Colin answered. Again, Mary thought of the Indian prince. I want to go outside, he went on. I want some fresh air. You must be very careful, said Dr. Craven. I thought that you didn't like fresh air. I don't, when I am alone, Colin answered. But Mary is going to come with me. Dickon is going to push my wheelchair. We will go alone. Dr. Craven did not like this plan. He thought that it might make Colin ill again, but he could not stop the body. He left the room, and he could not believe what he had seen. Chapter 18. Colin sees the secret garden at last. They had to wait for a week, however, before Colin could go to the garden because there was some very windy days and then he caught a cold. But Dickon went to see Colin every day and told him what was happening outside. At last, Colin was outside. Dickon pushed the wheelchair and Mary walked beside it. Colin looked up at the sky and breathed the fresh air. His eyes grew bigger and bigger. They saw no one in the gardens, but they walked around for a long time before they went into the secret garden. This is where the robin showed me the key, Mary said. And this is the door. Push the wheelchair inside quickly, Dickon, she cried. Colin covered his eyes with his hands. He did not look until they were inside the garden. Then he looked at everything in the same way that Mary and Dickon had done when they first saw the garden. "I'll get better," he cried. "Mary and Dickon, I will get well. I'll live forever and ever." That afternoon Colin felt that the whole world was good and beautiful. He began to feel better and to look better. His face became less white, and he laughed all the time. He sat in his wheelchair under one of the fruit trees while Dickon and Mary worked. They brought him things to say. Then Dickon pushed the chair slowly around the garden, and they stopped and looked at all the wonderful things. Colin thought that the garden was like a fairy garden. "I wonder if we will see the robin," he asked Dickon. Then he noticed an old tree. "Why is part of that tree broken?" he asked. "It happened a long time ago," Dickon answered. He stopped, and then he said suddenly, "Look, look, there's the robin." So Colin saw the robin at last, and he forgot to ask about the broken tree. Mary and Dickon were very glad about this, because the broken tree had caused the death of his mother, and they did not want to tell him that. "I don't want this afternoon to end," said Colin slowly, "but I'll come back tomorrow, and the day after, and the day after that. I've seen the spring, and now I want to see the summer. I want to grow with the garden." "And you will," said Dickon. "You'll soon be able to walk and work and use a spade like Mary and me." "Walk?" said Colin, very surprised. "Use a spade? Will I?" "Of course," said Mary and Dickon together. "You have good legs, haven't you? We must make them strong." It was nearly evening, and the sun was going down. The garden was very still and quiet. Suddenly Colin said, "Who's that man?" "Which man?" cried Mary and Dickon. Colin pointed to the wall. Mary and Dickon turned, and there was Ben Weatherstaff. They could only see his head over the top of the wall. He looked very angry. From the place he had climbed to, he could only see Mary. "What are you doing, you bad girl?" he shouted. "How did you get into that garden?" "The robin showed me the way," Mary answered. Dickon pushed Colin's wheelchair nearer Ben Weatherstaff, and when Ben saw Colin, he looked and looked. "Do you know who I am?" Colin asked him. "Yes, I do," answered Ben, "because you look so like your mother. How did you get there?" "I thought you were a hunchback." "I'm not a hunchback," said Colin loudly. "I'm not." "No, he's not," Mary shouted too. "I've seen his back, and he is not a hunchback." "Come here," Colin shouted to Dickon. "Come here at once." And he started to stand up. Mary's face went white because she was very frightened. She said quietly, again and again, "He can do it. He can do it." And Colin did. He held Dickon's arm. He put his thin legs on the ground, and suddenly he was standing up with his head held high. "Now look at me, Ben Weatherstaff," he shouted. "I'm a hunchback." "No, no," Ben answered. Mary thought that she saw tears in the old man's eye. "No, I can't believe it. Hey, people haven't told the truth about you, my boy. God bless you." Colin said, "Come here. Mary will show you the way. I want to talk to you. Be quick." Before Ben Weatherstaff came into the garden with Mary, Colin said to Dickon, "I can stand, and now I'm going to walk to that tree. I will stand against it when Ben Weatherstaff comes." He walked over to the tree. When Ben came through the door, he could not believe what he saw. "What work do you do in the gardens?" Colin asked him. "Everything," Ben answered. "They gave me work because your mother liked me. Although I'm really too old now, this was a garden and she loved it." "It's my garden now, and I love it too," said Colin. "But it's a secret. No one must know about it. Only Mary, Dickon, you and me." Just then Colin noticed Mary's spade on the ground. He picked it up and he began to work with it. He did not work very well, but he looked very happy. "And now," he said, as he put the spade down, "I've worked and I've used a spade." "You said that," "I've worked, Dickon. I've done it."